chat, Instagram.
Hey there, I am Luke Daab of Daab Creative, and I want you to subscribe to Raze Chaos.
Everybody, my name is Raze Chaos. This is Raising Cain. Raising Cain. How about that? You like that one? Okay. We are back with another. We've done it. We went Cobra. We went Master of the Universe villains. We went the heroes and royal family of the Masters of the Universe. You knew it had to happen where we were going to bring out the good guys. We were going to bring out the Joes. So, yo, Joe! Yeah, I was talking to you that time. Quit looking at me like that. So, we have this nice little setup here. We've got several characters. We're going to talk about all of them. We've got Shipwreck, Leatherneck, Snake Eyes, Scarlet. We've got Storm Shadow after he becomes a good guy again. And then we've got a mystery guy down there at the back. I wonder who he is. Bet he's somebody exciting. I think so. And I hope you think so too. So, let's just dig right into these guys, because I'm kind of really excited about finding these out. So we're going to go ahead and grab the first one. We're going to grab Scarlet first. And there's really not a lot to say about Scarlet as far as I'm concerned. Primarily because when I was a kid, watching the cartoon, I don't really remember her doing much, except that I always remember her there. So we're going to go ahead and take her out and have a look at her. So yeah, we've got Scarlet. Like I said, I remember her being in the cartoon, but I don't really remember much of what her whole specialty was or anything like that. Primarily, what I remember of her is that she had these throwing stars on her glove, which is cool because that's the way it actually was on the actual Joe. And then she had a crossbow, which at the time, a crossbow was the coolest freaking weapon you could have. There does seem to be a... He's mad. Get over it. But like I was saying, she's got this weird thing going on with her hips. I don't know if that's a design thing, but she kind of juts out a bit. And I'm not quite sure what the deal is there. It's almost like they created two pieces and stuck it together and then realized they didn't quite get it the same size. But, you know, it happens. But still, it's still a cool looking figure. It looks pretty much just like the actual action figure from the 80s. And yeah, that's one down. That's our first lovely Joe right there. And second, we're gonna go with Shipwreck. Shipwreck is one of my favorite characters, primarily because he seemed to have a very prominent role. Like, some of the episodes seem to kind of focus on Shipwreck, and I hate to call him one of the main characters, but he kind of did act like one of the main characters. So we are going to go ahead and take this out, have a look at him. Yeah, Shipwreck was one of those characters that, like, yeah, he honestly, he's one of the few characters that I can actually remember his voice, the character's voice from the cartoon. As far as the figure goes, this is pretty much the same. Like, they've even represented the bell bottoms down here. This thing was actually a weapon that he had that he came with, and he also came with a pistol that was kind of had a rope that attached it to his wrist, which they kind of explained it away in a sailor manner, I guess you'd say. But yes, this was actually a string, and then they had the little two plastic bits here. I don't know if that was supposed to be an anchor. I never really ever looked into what exactly his weapon was. One of the fun little things I've noticed, now having taken it out, is that it actually has the actual tattoos that the actual action figure has on his arms. It's on the undersides of his arms, so you may not even see it on the spinner. But yeah, that's a detail I never would have known had I not taken it out of the package. So that's why we do that, and that's why we keep going. Next up, we have Leatherneck. Leatherneck is actually one of my favorite characters. And I don't want to say characters, but like, he was one of my favorite toys. It's kind of indicative that, yes, this is one that I can't really say too much as far as the actual cartoon goes, because I had the action figure, and he was one that he was always on my squad, so to speak. I had a select few that they were my own little squad that whenever we played, I insisted upon having, and Leatherneck was one of them. Leatherneck is supposed to be, according to his file card, essentially the perfect Marine. Like, he is exactly what you expect from a Marine, and he excels at all things Marine-like. I think that's a really rather cheap way of making a character trait. You know, it's like, hey, what are we gonna say about this guy? Oh, everything that a Marine can do, he can do best. Yeah, it almost kind of feels like a little cop-out. Does it feel like a cop-out to you? Let's take him out, have a look. And here he is, and this is so cool because I actually do have the exact backpack that he came with, as far as the toy went. He had like he just had this thing on his back. It was kind of small comparatively, so, which would be accurate. This is actually the gun he came with, the M16 with the grenade launcher on the bottom, and that was actually one of my favorite parts of him, was that he had such a badass gun. But yeah, this is Leatherneck. This is the guy. This is one of my favorite toys when I was a kid, was my G.I. Joe Leatherneck action figure, and it was actually later, relatively late in the G.I. Joe game, as far as the new characters came out. But I think that it kind of phased at some point, where while it started to explode more, I started phasing out a bit. But I was there in time for Leatherneck, and I'm very happy that I have a representation of him. So, bang, that's my guy. And next we have just about everybody's favorite. I want to say just about because I don't want to. Only the Sith deal in absolutes. This is Snake Eyes. This is one of the first and one of the best of all the G.I. Joe characters, to be perfectly honest. For him to come out right out of the gate and still be going strong, like even after wave after wave of new Joes, Snake Eyes was always the badass. He had the cool look, he had the awesome name, and they built up his story to just strengthen all of that. So we're gonna take this guy out and have a look at him. And yes, he looked like a ninja, even when all the other Joes looked like generic military guys. Yeah, he was just always a badass. And I know this is one of the early designs, but it's not one of the first designs, because I remember the first designs he was actually barehanded, which is really a strange thought considering his identity's a mystery, and yet he's leaving fingerprints everywhere. He never spoke, and I don't recall if that was because he couldn't, or I think it was because he couldn't. But for anybody to go into the military and become not only the badass of the group, but one of the longest standing members, and not be able to talk, yeah, that don't happen very often. But still, Snake Eyes is, I mean, you think G.I. Joe, you think Snake Eyes when you think your favorite. Most people have a favorite aside from Snake Eyes. They'll be like, hey, who's your favorite Joe? Well, Snake Eyes, but after him. Snake Eyes was just, he's by far, he is the G.I. Joe everybody wanted. Next up, we have Storm Shadow, and a big reason why I wanted this one is because I had Storm Shadow when he first came out and everything. Then I got this one, and I thought this one was cooler. And mind you, this is young Raze talking. Liked this one a little bit better. And then when I got it, it was just like, oh, he's not a bad guy anymore. He's a good guy. So yeah, this is after they discover that Snake Eyes didn't kill his sensei, and he starts teaming up with the Joes. So I had this figure. This is probably the figure that I played with the most when I was a kid. So we're gonna have to open this guy up and take it and dive right in. I gotta tell you, looking at this hit all the geek boy moments right there. This was just very well designed. He's got the leg braces that he has, the bamboo leg braces like he did on the figure. The strap is there. About the only thing looking at it that I see missing is that it was revealed, because he always wore the tape up his forearms, that he and Snake Eyes have the same tattoo, and that is not represented on this figure, which is really the only thing missing. I remembered part of what I loved about this was his little claw thing that he had here, and it was funny that the sword for this was red, but you'll notice that his backpack is also red, and they even put the little braces on here on the side where you would slide it down so he could wear it on his back. So it actually would go into his backpack, which was kind of a maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't with the G.I. Joe characters. But yes, this is one of my favorite toys as a kid, and it feels so cool to have him right here, to be completely honest with you. He's taking little Raze back. Yeah, he take me back. Okay, but enough of that, because I've got another one that not only did I love as a kid, I was really excited to get him, and seeing that they made him, I had to jump at the opportunity to get him. Who is he? Let's just say that he's recognizable. Not only was he the drill sergeant of the G.I. Joes, but he is Sergeant Slaughter, the crossover character. He is actually a wrestler. He was a wrestler for a long time under the moniker of Sergeant Slaughter, and he was adopted. They basically got into a deal with G.I. Joe, which I would imagine was very lucrative for him, because he really didn't have to do much. They were just using his likeness and his name and his popularity. But you know he had to get a cut of it, and they made several Sergeant Slaughter figures. The original one was a mail away, and then they had like a full separate team. He had his own little ATV. He always carried the mini cane with him, and they incorporated that into the comic book where in the toy, because he always came with that. No matter how many different versions they made of him, he always had that cane. And I remember wanting him so bad. I remember getting him and loving it. And yeah, you remember when I said something about having my own special squad when I used to play G.I. Joe? This guy was always the leader. Yes, I got very excited when this guy came out. He's got his arms folded in front of him. If he actually has USA across the t-shirt, then this would be 100% accurate of the original mail-away figure. You can kind of see that something's around his neck. It wouldn't be surprising if people thought those were dog tags around his neck, but in actuality, as far as the action figure went, he also always had a whistle, because he was the drill sergeant. And yeah, he is just... I think part of it was him going after some of that Arlie Ermy love from Full Metal Jacket, but I think he was actually a G.I. Joe before that. I love the fact that they've got his arms muscled up a little bit, because they actually did bulk up G.I. Joe's arms after they made him, because they wanted to make him look stronger than everyone that had come before him. And then they kept it that way up until they had... Basically, Sergeant Slaughter went heel in wrestling, which means he turned into a bad guy. And he became an Iraqi sympathizer? Iran... I don't remember. That conflict, damn it, I can't remember it. But essentially, he switched sides. It was purely, kayfabe. It was a storyline. But once they did that, basically, G.I. Joe stopped using him. So yeah, I am really glad we get one of these, because, yes, I collect some wrestling pops. Yes, I collect G.I. Joe pops. And this one is both. So, the only other crossover, real-life person that I really remember from that was they had William the Refrigerator Perry from the Chicago Bulls, which always seemed really weird, because the idea of a football player going into a military situation, and the weapon they sent him with was just like an iron football with a chain and a handle. And it was just kind of like, what are you going to do with that except get yourself shot? But still, that was the 85 Bears, and there was a whole craze going on there. But yeah, that's going to do it for this little G.I. Joe squad. Give me a comment down below and let me know which one your favorite was. Most likely it's going to be Snake Eyes, because he's everybody's favorite Joe. But still, these cut deep with some of my personal favorites from when I was a kid, the ones I used to play with. And spoiler alert, Raze never had a Snake Eyes. Ever. This is actually Raze's first Snake Eyes figure. No, it's not. I lied. But I'm going to go ahead and let you go now. And like I said, give me a like on this. Let me know which one of your favorite, or which one of these Joes was your favorite. And never forget that life is full of odd moments, and you never know when you're going to be defined.